Look out Tesla, the big boys are coming. This is the BMW iX and it's the vanguard of BMW's next generation electric invasion. In the next few years we'll see a BMW i4 and electric versions of the 5 Series and 7 Series. No prize for guessing, that's probably the i5 and the i7. But for now we've got the BMW iX. And it's no surprises for guessing, it's a lot like an X5. It does share some components, but this is an all-new battery electric vehicle. It's slightly lower in the roofline than an X5, but longer overall. And it is heavier. Of course, it's a battery electric vehicle, weighs around 2.5 tons. And that's surprising because there is a lot of carbon fibre, as you'll see as we take a closer look. Now let's take a closer look at the design and we'll start here at the front. Now overall everything more rounded and futuristic, and there are some interesting little design quirks. For example, on an X5 this huge kidney grille sucks air into the internal combustion engine, but there's no internal combustion engine under there, so the kidney grille is actually filled in and the air goes in underneath. These louvers actually open or close depending on whether they're prioritising aerodynamics or cooling for the electric motors and the battery pack. Headlights, Dr. Evil's favourite technology, we've got laser beams. They're said to be a lot more effective than LEDs, but sadly they won't fry your enemies. And then of course we've got the BMW badge, which in typical German fashion has a function. This is where you put the water in for your windscreen washers. And moving down the side now, and holy crap, this one's got 22-inch wheels and tyres. I wonder what that's going to do to the ride quality. I guess we'll find that out later. All right, the wing mirror, typical wing mirror, but we've got the 360-degree cameras in here. We've got some pretty cool door handles, which also double as a great place for spiders to hide. It's just a little button inside that opens the door. Pillarless, I like that. Moving right along, of course, the obligatory charging flap with Akka chargers for both types, which then brings us to the rear, and in my opinion its least good looking angle. Now remember at the start I said this car just looked a little oddball to me? It's because it looks so metal heavy, and the boot most of all. But BMW designers have tried to address that. I mean, these sleek tail lights try and make it look a bit more rakish than it actually is. As for the boot itself, looks pretty big, right? Should be a huge space inside, right? Not so. 500 litres, that's not bad, but a lot of the space that could have been used has been lost in these huge areas here. I don't know what's in there, but it better be bloody important because cargo space is a very important part of an SUV. Now the boot space itself is pretty good. Nice and square, you should be able to fit a fair bit in here. It's also got a storage bin underneath, which has currently got all the charging leads in it. And if you need more space than it's got, a couple of little levers over here. Drop the back seats and you've got load through. Jumping forward into the cheap seats now, and in the iX they are anything but. I am really liking this quilted soft leather, perforated leather. Loving a centre armrest, which to be fair most cars have. We've got a couple of cup holders here, not too bad. We've also got air vents down here and air vents under the seats. Plenty of leg room and foot room, as you can see, very comfortable. Quad zone climate control, so there's no fighting in the back seat. Speaking of which, a lot of cars give you 2 USB ports in the back seat, so the middle kid misses out. Not in this car. We've got 2 in each of the seats, and something that I'm told is a smartphone or an iPad holder, but I'm guessing you've got to buy the BMW accessory to really use that. And lastly, for parents with young kids, ISOFIXes in both outboard seats hidden by this really cool cover. That's nice. Okay, we've made it to mission control, and now for me, this is where the BMW iX really puts a strong foot forward. This interior looks stunning. Obviously we've still got those really plush seats, but they're sports seats with adjustable bolsters. We've got this awesome infotainment screen that stretches 2/3 of the dash. 15 inches in the middle for all of the controls, and then the driver gets a nice instrument cluster. Really, really nice. The touches too in this interior just elevate it to the next level, and I'm talking everything from these crystal glass buttons for adjusting your seats and seat memory to the iDrive crystal glass button here, and this walnut touchpad, which I really like, right down to these really cool rakish air vents. It's all really futuristic, but it works and it makes you feel like you've bought a really expensive car, which you have. But there are a couple of things that are just a bit weird, like the placement of the cup holders, for example. They're down here, and to get a cup in there, I think you kind of need to either dislocate your wrist or do a backhand kind of grip to get in there and grab it out. And that just doesn't make sense. So I think they've kind of taken that one step too far, and maybe it should have been in somewhere much more obvious and usable. All right, enough of this stationary crap. Let's go for a drive, because after all, that's what this car's all about. Okay, now that we're on the move, let's just quickly go over the different variants in the BMW iX range. So there are 3 to choose from, starting with this one, the iX xDrive40, 139,900, as I said. For that you get a 240 kilowatt electric system, motors in the front and the back, 77 kilowatt hour battery, good for 425 kilometers. Lots of numbers, but bear with me. Next up, if you've got more money to spend, is the xDrive40. You get more powerful electric motors, 385 kilowatts is a big step up, and the 0 to 100 time drops from 6.3 seconds down to 4.6. As you'd expect, the xDrive40 also gets a bigger battery pack, which is good for almost 630 kilometers of driving. Now, if you've got more than $170,000 to spend, or you want something even faster, later this year, the BMW iX, let me get this right, M60, no xDrive in that name, is arriving, and that is the high performance variant. That's got even more powerful electric motors front and rear, does 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds. 3.6 seconds, I mean, we're talking Porsche 911 times. That is insane. But fuel economy, no wait, battery economy, battery range drops to 566 kilometers, because you can't have your cake and eat it too. All right, enough of that, back to this car. What do I think of it? Now, first off, I think I owe this wheel and tyre package an apology, because I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the ride quality on these 22-inch tyres is very good. It is very smooth, very luxurious, does a good job absorbing the bumps too. And the powertrain, well, you do get that obligatory kick in the back when you give the electric motor full rein. What I also like is that it's got a really aggressive regenerative state, which allows you to just drive it on the accelerator. And thirdly, driving dynamics. I'm a bit underwhelmed here. Maybe I was expecting too much, but it doesn't even have the driver enjoyment of the BMW X5. It just feels a bit bland, a bit lacking in everything. I mean, it's very functional, it's very good. It'll get you from A to B in incredible quietness, by the way. But this is not a car that you buy because you enjoy driving. Okay, so having said that, why would you buy this car? I mean, it's more expensive than a BMW X5, but it's an electric car, so you expect that. It's got a lot more gadgets. It's got a cooler interior, loads more space in the back seat, smaller boot, interesting exterior styling. That's why you would buy this car, because you want something different, something futuristic, something electric powered, and you're prepared to pay for it. Now, being as this is an electric car, we need to talk about charging. If you're on an AC, this car can take up to 11 kilowatts, which will recharge the 77 kilowatt battery in about 6 hours, assuming that 80% of that 77 kilowatts is usable. If you're on a normal domestic plug, it's going to take you 26 hours, but to be honest, if you can afford a $140,000 car, you can afford to put in the wall charger that goes with it. If you want the fastest charging option, that's DC, this car can recharge it up to 150 kilowatts, and BMW reckons it'll go from 10% to 80% in just over 30 minutes. And as for how much all of that recharging will cost you, how does zero sound? If you buy a BMW iX, BMW throws in 5 years of free ChargeFox recharging, which, if you think about it, 75,000 kilometers in 5 years, Against a petrol car, that's a saving of around $12,500, which is better than a kick in the pants. So there you have it, the BMW iX xDrive40. This gives us a very interesting glimpse into the electric mobility future as BMW sees it. And in some areas, it is a really compelling car. That interior, for example, the powertrain, the ride, the NVH, very nice. But in other areas, it's just a bit underdone. I'm talking about dynamics. In that area in particular, it doesn't deliver on BMW's brand promise. But who knows, maybe that's not a problem for future owners. I guess time will tell. If you'd like to know more about the BMW iX, read more great articles and see more videos, go to Drive.com.au. But while you're here, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so that you get notified when we drop more videos.